Me?
Okay, good evening. Charlie Kanicki can't be here, so I'll be chairing the meeting tonight. We're going to start off with open time for the public. I'm not seeing much public here, so I guess we'll pass and we may come back to it if we need to. Next item on the agenda is town administrator report. Heather, can you give that, please?
Alrighty, so we're in the middle of the summer, so I'm going to be a little bit brief because I've been out for vacation for a little bit, not too much going on at the moment. A couple updates, Safe Routes to School, a project on our end is completed. We'll talk about something a little bit later that's on the agenda that pertains to it. In general, though, the documents are all on file with the Hampshire County Registry of Deeds. We have all of our copies, and the 2 checks for the abutters should be available any moment. As soon as we get the warrant signed and everything printed, we'll be good to roll. We have a couple documents we need from them, but otherwise we're ready and done. So at this point, the project is in the hands of the state. I did also converse very briefly yesterday with Tom Gahn, because if you remember correctly previously, there was discussion on the Safe Routes to School project about trying to do the water pipes underneath the road in Route 10 where they had it dug up. So as far as they understand from the water side, that is still part of the plan and still going to move forward. So we will see where that takes us. The hope on that is that we'll be able to make improvements to the water pipes, and it will be funded, if not completely, at least in part by the state for that piece. We'll have more information as we move forward. I don't know additional details on that. I figured we'd get to the intersection a little bit later in the agenda.
I was going to ask if you wanted to add it to it.
We can do it now if you want.
Since it all ties in.
Okay, sure. So several weeks ago, if not months at this point, the select board had held a public meeting at one point. They wanted to get input from the residents of the town in order to hear if they had any concerns. Concerns had been expressed previously regarding the intersection of Pomeroy Meadow Road and College Highway. Again, this is the intersection where the new sidewalk project from the state, the Safe Routes to School project, is going to come in to intersect. So there's already a sidewalk going down Pomeroy. The sidewalk will then pick up from that corner on College Highway and go up to about the Cumberland Farms area. So the select board had asked that I send a letter to Mass DOT asking them to take another look at this intersection. They had taken a look at it. I actually talked to a gentleman named Richard Massey from Mass DOT last week, and we had a conversation about what their thoughts were. And they essentially said the following, that they had, at the request of the town, where we had asked them to take another look at the intersection and look at any additional actions to provide for safety of pedestrians, bicyclists, and motorists, Mass DOT reviewed the development of the project and looked at whether the location met any of the national standard warrants for a full traffic signal, and the location did not. However, they took another look at the intersection and they agree to include in the Safe Routes to School project an intersection warning beacon that will be mounted above the intersection area with a flashing red signal to the Pomeroy Meadow for stop, control approach, and a flashing yellow signal to both directions approaching on College Highway, Route 10. This will provide additional notice and warning to motorists approaching the intersection of the existence of the intersecting street, and along with the previously proposed new marked crosswalk across Pomeroy Meadow, and crosswalk warning signal signs on each side of Pomeroy should enhance the safety of the intersection. The warning beacon has been added to the work, and the contractors will go to bid as part of this project.
I think that's a great compromise, though. That was good.
Does that make sense to everyone?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, it says it's going to bid around July of 16. Are they planning to do any actual work this calendar year?
I haven't got a further update from Karen on that piece, but my last understanding was I think we might have missed this construction season for bidding purposes and won't begin until next spring at this point, unfortunately.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions on the Safe Routes to School piece? Okay. A couple updates. This week, tomorrow, we have a building group meeting. This is the departments that are relevant. ZBA, Planning Board, Building Department, Highway Superintendent, I believe the Water, and Board of Health, and I could always be missing someone, but we add people every time, and eventually it'll just be a full town meeting at some point. Tomorrow night's also a small town summit. These are meetings that a bunch of towns got together to start doing a couple months ago. I've yet to make a meeting because there's always some emergency thing that comes up. Tomorrow night I'm hoping to make it in South Deerfield. Again, it's one of those meetings where it's kind of impromptu. There's a brief agenda, a couple different topics to discuss, and more so it's a bunch of the local communities getting together to talk about some of the local issues and share information. Next week on Tuesday we have, I think it's on Tuesday, it's the 19th, we have a Meyer training. Meyer is our insurance company. We're actually hosting a training here in this room for our employees, as well as it's opened up to other communities. At this point, there have already been 7 people from other communities who've signed up to come because they find it local. We have sent out a reminder to all departments today that if they have not signed up and they wish to come, they need to sign up. The topic of this training is going to be creating the respectful workplace. As we had discussed previously, any credits that we get for going to Meyer trainings or other trainings all eventually come off towards our insurance for the following year. This year, I think we only got like 400 and some change off, but we haven't been reporting or recording a lot of it, so we're working on moving forward. The last department head meeting, we actually talked about folks bringing in rosters and summaries of their trainings so that we can transmit them over to Maya as we go, for whether it's a department head or employee, so we can get additional benefits moving forward.
What time did you say the training was?
The training is 1 to 2:30. I did, like I said, the email did go out to all departments. About this, sent it out earlier, and it's on the Maya website. So if you just Google MIA, the insurance website will come up if you add the word training, and you can register online. So. The next piece we have, July 20th, there is a PVPC, Pioneer Valley Planning Commission roundtable. It's one of their quarterly roundtables they hold. This one's going to be on the new public records law. The new public records law, as some of you may know, goes into effect on January 1st, 2017, requires a records custodian, a whole bunch of other fun things. It should be a blast. It's one of the other unfunded mandates that's coming down the windpipe, and we're just so excited. So this training is actually going to be to give us additional information, and we're also going to talk about it a little bit at the department head meeting this Thursday on what this really means, although people aren't going to see the impacts of it for quite a while. Any questions on that? Okay. July 20th as well, next week. I believe I sent an email unless I lost my mind and didn't. We're going to try to wrap up the rest of the financial plan. We had a financial plan that we had put together, I think that's what we called it, probably about a year and a half ago. We had met with finance committee members, the accountant, the treasurer, myself, and I want to say a few other people were present from time to time, but we're trying to wrap it up. It's policies recommended to us from both other communities and a recommended policy by the auditors. They wanted to see this in place. So we are working on it. It's just taking a back seat for a while. Other ongoing projects, collective bargaining with the police. We are hoping to wrap that up. We have another meeting set as of today for the 19th. It's going to be a busy week next week. We also have the Greenway project. Greenway negotiation committee is still in progress. We're working on arranging some meetings right now. It's been difficult through the month of July with a lot of folks being on vacation. Permitting guide. We are pretty much at this point complete, thanks to Velda's hard work and all the departments who were able to submit things and continually work on this plan. We have actually been working on the permitting guide for this point, I'd say about a year and a half, if not longer. We started with a document that was very outdated, and we redid the entire thing. This is actually one of the items that was listed in the master plan for us to work on, so we're kind of excited. Velda has some great ideas. She's been working with Art. They've both been a fantastic team, and they've actually come up with a way to make sure that the permitting guide stays up to date, the same with the websites. So it's a 2-for-1 piece once we get everything put together. I'm very excited to see it launch. We're going to print out some hard copies around town so folks have them. If you don't know what the permitting guide is, or you're not sure, permitting guide essentially is a list of all the departments that have things that you're going to receive a permit from. It explains what the permit is for. The appeal process also gives you the pricing and how to go through actually applying for the piece and so forth. We are working on the process of doing an updated Excel sheet with all the payroll. This was one of the requests of the auditors, so that we have something on file when we do the 2% increases across the board, that we have a document that actually tracks this from time to time. And we also are trying to work on getting a sheet of paper so that each employee can review, this is my pay last year, this is my pay this year, my vacation now, my sick time, and so forth. The last piece is I'm going to be working with dispatchers. I've talked to the police chief on this one about getting them functional to work with Code Red. So when we have emergencies, and they're the first to know, when they have an opportunity, they can simply launch the Code Red app right from their desktop, as opposed to hunting me down wherever I may be on a Saturday night. Always fun. Last piece of information I have for you, I met with Eversource this morning. Some representatives from Eversource, Haley and Ken, for the governmental reps. We actually had a discussion. So they did a press release a little while ago. I don't know if folks are paying attention. I know I probably wasn't when it came out. 2.7% is the reduction for the supplier cost for energy for the next 6 months, for the months of July through the months of December. This has somewhat of an impact, especially on residents. The average resident uses 600 kilowatts, and they pay approximately $122 a month. This will be approximately a $10 savings per month, so they'll be spending only $112 per month on their Eversource bill as opposed to $122. Again, this goes into effect for the use of July through December, so it will be reflected in the bills from August through January. This will also impact the town in some capacity. We'd have to do the math and calculations a little further to see the savings. But all we know is it's going to be for July through December. They only do 6 months ahead of time when they go to bid. I think that's all I have at the moment. Are there any additional questions?
No.
Excellent. Thank you.
I passed over appointment schedule, but I don't believe we have any. So kick that off. Select board updates, liaison reports. Shannon, do you have any updates?
No.
Not really.
Fire department? Or?
Yeah, we met. I'm just catching up to speed on his policies and everything.
Okay. I have the finance committee. We met last night with them. Actually, we went over the fire department budget and discussed the increase for the staff over there, the 2%. And for some reason, it wasn't put into the town to have their salaries increased by 2%, but it was approved in the budget by the town meeting. So I'm going to have the chief actually put it into the next payroll, make it retroactive to July 1, because they should be included in that too.
Sure.
And I think that was over on 2B. Chief Workman was supposed to be here to talk about that, I believe.
On what you say?
2B, is that the
on
same
page
topic?
3.
Ellen?
Yep.
2B?
2B is
Their pay rates.
creating numbers on me, John?
No, 2B on page 3.
How about 4A? Wait, I'm sorry. I take that back.
Page 3, it says 2B.
Oh, you're right. I created my own numbers. I'm very sorry.
Was that
Yeah.
on the 2% increase for the?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, actually, I think that has more to do with the standby rates.
So
Right,
he
it's
may
been-
still be here? Okay, so that's a whole different issue. Let me see what else. Oh, the Finance Committee asked if we could put our agenda, post it a little earlier so that they have time to see it. I think we discussed that offline, so.
Yeah.
We'll do the best we can to have it there immediately after our meetings, but it takes a couple of days to get it ready.
Well, what do you mean, the agenda or the minutes?
No, the agenda for the next meeting.
So the problem with the agenda, you guys had this conversation last time, and, I think Charlie had thrown out the option of having everything that needs to go on the agenda in by Wednesday. The problem is, even at that, there's always things that come up. So we can do it however the board wishes. I'm happy to follow the direction the board wants to give me, but just keep in mind that, sometimes there's going to be things that come up. Whenever we have something that we need to modify the agenda for, even if it's an hour before, what have you, I try to do my best to make sure I go back to my town government, and if you subscribe to it, you'll get an email alert.
Yeah, and I think we have it for the Wednesday before the meeting, so if we're meeting in 2 weeks, for next Wednesday, gives plenty of time. If we have to make adjustments, we will. If there's anything major, we may just bring it up at the meeting to say, here it is, we'll discuss it at the next meeting, kind of an alert, because we don't want anything major to go before the board, before the town sees it. Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah.
We want to give it much
Yeah,
notice.
I guess it
don't-
sounds reasonable.
I don't want people to think we're trying to put stuff on the agenda that's
Right.
last minute, just to get it by, so if we can work on that, I think it'd be great. And we've got yet to set up our first safety complex committee meeting. I'm going to do that sometimes in the next week. We've got a few people who have signed up, so I'll give an update on that later. So we have reports from department boards and committees. I understand, Library Barbara, that you have a time frame crunch?
We have a program right now, so if I go
So
early, then
nobody minds, I'll put you first, is that okay?
Is that okay?
Okay.
So I did bring some information on our summer reading program. We have a youth summer reading program. These are the events that are left, and just so that you can see.
Thank you.
And then this is the adult one.
Are you having a 3D printer one tonight?
Right now, yeah.
Can I be excused? I want to see that one.
Yeah, you can see why I'd like to get back there. This is the first time we've had it. So the summer reading program is very busy, especially for the kids. Johanna, our youth librarian, has 163 kids signed up, and actually it's all ages. They go up through early teens, too. It's a 6-week program, and as you can see, there's a lot of programming, some of which is supported by the Cultural Council, and some is the Friends of the Library, and she raises money from the Lions Club, Women's Club, Mothers Club. And so this is an example of the reading log that the kids have, and it's really a very full program. They keep track of how many hours they read. I think Vicky's kids are doing it. And then there's prizes that they can, it's a raffle kind of thing. So the library's a busy place right now, and it's a lot of fun. I did want to talk about the HVAC, because I know that's been a hot topic lately. So we did hire a firm called Robert Hall Engineering, and Ed Bullens is the contact person, and I know he sent an initial letter to bid, which had a high price of $75,000, and we were voted, I think it's $47,000, so we know that we can't get everything on that, and actually we had asked him to break it down. So the most immediate needs are for the controls and the air conditioning. You got this, right, Heather? You want me to give it to you? So this isn't the letter, the invitation to bid, but this is what Heather and I asked him to do.
So this
For the
is
breakdown.
his estimate before we send out a formal bid, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, my understanding, some of our understanding is they usually don't actually put the number in the letter to bid.
No, we don't.
So I don't know why that was in here. But originally it came in much less money, but because we had to go do it through the bidding process, we have to do prevailing wages. And also it's been a couple of years later, so things are more expensive.
So can I ask a question? So bids actually came in?
No,
When they originally went to the capital,
improvement committee.
thank you, I couldn't remember what they were called, the CIC, when they originally went there, they had actually got estimates from a different couple different companies, because
Three
they
different
needed to have a baseline for the award of the funds,
Okay.
or the appropriation of the funds.
They got a good estimate, yeah.
They did, but one of the things a lot of folks don't realize is that we are subject to prevailing wage for construction projects, and those just make life so much funner.
Yeah. We now fit into the above 30,000 and under 100,000, so that's why we had to do this process. So Robert Hall Engineering, they also worked on the town hall. They were part of this project. The $6,800 that we pay them covers everything. They will do the whole process. Heather and the Board of Trustees want to be at the meeting when the bids are open, right? And also, we want to know what they're going to put out there. Because my understanding is you have to take the lowest bid that meets the requirements, so it's really important to have clear requirements,
Will
you
you
know.
put out the specs with prices on it?
They haven't put anything out yet. We're just in the template phase. The reason they came up with this piece, John, was they had originally submitted, as Barbara said, to us for review, a document with a request for bids that included the $75,000 figure. We couldn't figure out where they were coming up with the $75,000. So we wanted it broke down, because as you know, when we do the procurement piece, what we'll say is, you know, we would like this project, and here's the order of things that we want, and we're going to choose the vendor that meets the specs that can give us the most.
Okay, and there's going to be specs and drawings and all that?
Well, I think this is going to be at least an outline of what we're looking at. So when he goes to do the specs, you know, each one of these things will have these different components to it.
Yeah, they are doing drawings, the whole works. They've been to the library a number of times and borrowed our, you know, details, our maps, or whatever you call them.
So when we open the bid, we'll know the actual numbers.
There'll be two bids, there'll be a sealed bid.
That's what I mean, when we get sealed bids and we open them, we'll...
Yeah, but we'll ask for it in piecemeal, so that, you know, we say, okay, we're going to look at the requirements first to see if they qualify before we even move on to the next piece.
So you're going to do a base with alternates?
Yeah, I think that's what we're going to be going for, because as Barbara said, you know, there's certain things that they need right away, up front, but at the same time, you try to get the same contractor to do as much of the work, so it's all together. You don't know what's going to happen if you go back out to bid.
I agree.
So these first two, the control improvements in air conditioning, that's really pretty urgent. The controls we have right now are obsolete, so you have to get them from eBay. But luckily, we're dealing with McCormick Allen, which has a few, so, you know, they've been really great, but it's really, they're the ones that also told us that we really needed to get going on this. So the air conditioning has also been a problem, so we understand we'll probably have to wait for the boiler and the other things. Do you want to add anything, Convy? Convy's on the building committee, trustee.
Just that we hope to have a meeting with this firm before everything goes out to bid, so that everything is clear. We know exactly what they're doing. We don't want to have any, oops, you know, come back and, oh, you should have done this in the bidding process. So we're waiting. We sent them an email, we've not heard from them, to say, if we want this meeting, let's sit down, let's clarify, and let's make sure you know what we're going to do.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
our bid last year was 45,000, so it's a
Yeah.
little, and he may have put in for the very, very best furnace, for example, and maybe we don't need that, so we just have to clarify.
I mean, maybe he can give you some alternates to, like you said, the boiler or the furnace and all that. Yeah.
So my understanding is that they're ready to do this very soon, and we've been waiting every day for the information from them and to have the meeting, so. And he's been sending it to Heather and to me, so,
And now's the time to do it before the heating season comes.
yeah. So, right now, I'm working on the state reports. The library has to do two, which is a statistical and a financial report that are due to the Mass Board of Library Commissioners in order to get accreditation. So I'll be working on them. The first one's due in August, and the next one's due in October. So we gather all our circulation statistics and all our, how much money we spent on books and CDs and so on. We finished a regional-wide read called Being Mortal. The book is Being Mortal, and it's by Atul Gawande. We were one of 14 libraries in the whole region. It's basically was started by Cooley Dick, so it's kind of like the districts that Cooley Dick serves. And it was very successful. We had a lively book discussion at our library, and all of our patrons could go to all the other libraries' discussions and events. So we've been part of other, you know, Hampton Reads, but this is a much bigger one. And also, we're going to be having the 20th anniversary of our building, believe it or not, in November. So we're working on a celebration for that. And are there any questions?
Are the children coming out as much as they have in the past to use libraries?
Oh, yeah. Well, she has 163 signed up for the summer reading program so far. Yeah, it's grown every year, yeah. And it's busy. You know, we get, oh, I did have some statistics. There were like 65 people at one event, and, let me see, 63, 26, 55, those are some of the numbers, so it's very busy.
All
Yeah.
electronics, you wonder if the kids drift away, but it's
Well,
not.
some of the programs are electronics, but, no, they still come. We have dog story hour, and, there's a group of kids who come, and, yeah, no, the events are well attended. Actually, most of them are fill up because of the space of our meeting room. We have a sign-up sheet, and they're full. So Zoo on the Go, which came from the Springfield Zoo, we could have had 3 or 4 of those. It filled up, and people kept calling, so, they're,
Sounds like a popular place.
yeah. She's had Minecraft, and now it's, Makerspace, and, yeah.
Something we don't keep up with, Robert.
Yep.
Any questions for Barbara? No. Thanks a lot, appreciate
Thank
it. Go enjoy the 3D printer.
Yeah.
Well,
John, we might be having a little audio problem. Could you look at the bottom of your microphone and see there's a green light?
oh,
He just pushed it, it's on now.
Yeah.
Can you hear him?
can you hear me now?
All right.
Thanks.
We're good, thank you.
Okay, we're going to go back to Town Clerk. Janine?
I have to apologize, but I'm expecting a couple to come in and file their marriage intentions this evening, so I have to keep looking.
Bring him in here, we'll talk to him.
Talk some sense into him.
Okay, for anyone that doesn't know me, I'm Janine Domina, Town Clerk. Things are going really well in our office. This is a big election year for us. The state primary is going to be on September 8th. I'll have the warrant for you in a couple of weeks when you meet next. And the presidential and state election is November 8th. The last day to register to vote for the state primary is Friday, August 19th. Because it is a Friday and we're closed on Fridays, I will still be open in the morning from 8:30 to noon. After that, I've arranged with Officer Goyette that folks can go over to the police station and register to vote. Most people seem to vote online. Yeah, that's an easy option also. So I'd like to just let you know that what we've done is we send out the census at the beginning of every January. And anyone who did not return their census form, or for whatever reason we didn't receive it, they were sent a confirmation postcard requesting a response. If that voter doesn't respond, then he or she will be placed on the inactive voters list. So when they come in to vote, they're going to have to complete an affidavit saying that they still reside at the same residence and provide ID. So it's to their benefit that they just complete it takes 10 seconds. So we've received, many of the postcards have come back, but we're still waiting to hear from others. So I can't stress the importance enough of this. So if there's anyone at home listening who received a postcard, it's postage prepaid. All you have to do is check the box and sign it and send it back to us. It's part of the state's process in trying to keep accurate voter lists as accurate as possible. So, are there any questions
Nope.
in regards to that?
I'm going to check and make sure you got mine back,
I
but
was thinking the same thing.
did you get ours back?
I can check for you.
Okay.
So, the big news is early voting for the first time in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. This is expected to increase voter participation, make it easier to vote, and alleviate long lines on Election Day. there's a lot of talk within the clerk's world as we're gearing up for this. And I'm sure if you haven't heard about it, you will. And it's pretty exciting. It'll be an intense period, but it was signed into law by Governor Deval Patrick, and the state is still working on the regulations and specifics. What is certain is that early voting will begin 11 business days preceding the November 8th presidential election and will end 2 days prior to the election. That means you can come into the clerk's office during our usual hours and vote during this period, or you can fill out an application, and we can send the ballot to the voter by mail. In many ways, it's similar to the absentee ballots that we have. There are 3 reasons that a voter can vote absentee. One is they'll be out of town on election day. Second is they are incapacitated. Or the third one is a religious belief that prohibits them from voting on that day. But anyone can vote within that time frame allotted for early voting. So we're also being encouraged to hold extra hours, and we've accounted for this in our budget somewhat. So as soon as I know more about what's expected and recommended, I can pass that information out. I'll have things on the town's website. I'll have it on the bulletin board. I'll just get the word out there. So everything else is pretty much our normal duties: posting agendas, registering vitals, births, deaths, marriages. I'm actually working on my first in-town home birth, registering that with the state, so that's pretty exciting. So in our spare time, we've also licensed over 650 dogs so far since April 1st, and they're still coming in. So everything's going well, and if anyone ever has any questions, concerns, suggestions, feel free to stop in and see us.
So that early voting's pretty exciting as far from a voting point of view.
Oh,
since
yeah.
That's so strict in the past.
Yeah,
Now,
there's a lot.
Is it a sealed vote? You come in, sign it, and seal it?
You'll have an envelope, and you sign the envelope. It's like the absentee ballot.
So it just stays there until after the election?
Right,
Okay.
right. And then the election workers will run it through the tabulator.
Well, it's very convenient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting to see
A
how many
lot of states already do it, and so we're expecting like 25% of the registered voters to do early voting.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see if our voter turnout goes very high this year because of that. Makes it more convenient.
Yeah,
That's great.
definitely.
Yeah.
So,
Good, thanks.
okay,
Any
Thank
questions?
you. No,
No?
I'm good.
Okay, thank you.
No, thank you, Jeannie.
thank you.
Okay, I'm going to skip over COA since we're not here and go to Virginia Ahart, CPC.
Well, Community Preservation Committee was very busy early in the year. We had a lot of meetings and discussions around the purchase of the land that we referred to as the Cook County Road piece. And at least for me, I was absolutely overwhelmed at the vote the night of our town meeting. I had really hoped that we could get it passed, but I never expected it to be unanimous. Anyway,
So it was a pleasant surprise.
ooh, what happened here? I'm sitting there, and I told somebody the silence was deafening, waiting for the second vote, the nays. Anyway, we're kind of not sure where that is at. Easthampton has not given us any information as to whether they've passed it or not.
Do we know when it was scheduled to go before?
I have no idea, because they don't put their
Agendas?
council meetings in the paper or anything. Like, if it was Northampton, they have everything in the, every issue that's coming up at their city council.
Have you asked Heather?
Heather does not know either.
The only understanding I have of the Cook County Road project was while I was on vacation, Charlie had corresponded, Velda wrote a letter for him. Apparently, one of the individuals involved, I don't think it was Mark Wamsley, it must have been someone else, they contacted Charlie directly at like the grocery store or something and asked him to do the letter piece in support of the grant. I believe the land grant piece. That's all I know of. I don't have any other emails waiting. I actually thought I was losing my mind and missed an email somewhere along the lines, but apparently it just never came. So
Can we be proactive and ask him when it's coming up?
we can touch base with Mark and see what's going on with it.
That'd be great.
But usually he's pretty good at keeping us apprised. But I think Virginia hit it pretty much on the head with saying that if they were applying for the grant piece, then it had to have been approved by Easthampton.
But I'd like to get confirmation.
Yeah.
Yes, oh, yes, I do too.
We can find out. We can reach out to Mark tomorrow.
I think that'd be good, yeah.
The other issue that we're waiting on and discussing some is, of course, the Greenway. And we aren't sure what is going to happen with that, how much the funding might be that they're going to ask for. And right now, I guess they're just setting up some more meeting dates anyway. Did happen to go by on College Highway and see that apparently the Conservation Commission chose someone to begin to do the stabilization work on the Red Barn. So that was kind of nice to see. On Saturday, the dedication of the little play area for the toddlers at Conant Park is going to take place. I think it's at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. CPC funded the preparation and the mat that's underneath the little playground piece. I'm not sure what you call it, but it is for toddlers and little tiny children, and it is nicely placed near the Conant Park Pavilion so that parents are attending things there can also keep an eye on their little ones. And that's, of course, the funding for the equipment came from the church with the fund for Reverend D's little boy that did not live. The Boy Scouts spread the mulch and things to help. Was a lot of people worked together on that. They'd love to have a nice group of people come, so if any of you have nothing else to do on Saturday afternoon, 3 o'clock, there at Conant Park. At the present time, I'm reviewing all the other things that we had in front of us this year that went to town meeting, because I have a state report I have to do. And I spent some time today trying to find exactly how people can get into the database at the Department of Revenue to see not just what I put in there, but what every city and town that has community preservation, what their projects are. And I did not have much luck. I know how I get in, but that's a protected site. But I know I've checked it out in the past to see if somebody else has done a certain project. And the last little bit is that in August, at our August meeting, which is coming up on August 3rd, we will set our date for our annual report to the town, at which we also ask if anyone has a project right then to bring it to us. And that's a mandated report, and it has to be done within a year of the last one. So it's early October is what we'll be looking at. So get the word out, and those of you at home, think about this. If you're thinking of a project that fits community preservation, please think about finding out more about it and approaching us. I'm willing to talk to anyone to give them an idea if it is something that we can do or not. But it's one way to get good things done for the town. Also, I did attend the dedication of the Little League fields, and my goodness, what a mob of children. And, you know, it really is great to see that many children of all ages and sizes out there that day that the Little League opened. And their lovely new field and dugout.
They did a great job on that,
Yes.
yeah.
Looks nice.
Any questions for Virginia?
Have any questions?
No, thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
We have now the PQB, Mr. Lawrence.
Good evening, Art Lawrence, Chairman of the Personnel Policies and Procedures Board. It's been a pretty busy time these last 6 months. Just to let everybody know, we do meet twice a month, just before, the Thursday before the Select Board meeting, which is on Tuesday. This way we can get all the PCFs and PRFs and everything that we sign off to the Finance Committee, which generally meets on Monday, and of course to you guys on Tuesday. We also have special meetings when we need them. Sometimes there's some emergencies that we need to cover. I'd like to welcome Charlie, who's our new member of the Personnel Board, and we are now at full strength. To give you an idea, we're really turning into a true HR group. Over the last 6 months, we've done 100 PCFs, 5 which are personal. I should explain what a PCF is. It's a personal change form, everything from a new job, new salary, et cetera, is compiled on that particular form. We did 5 PRFs, which are a personal request form for new people. There are no grievances currently over this last 6 months, but the board and me personally are involved with 3 lawsuits that are currently in progress. We've completed 2 public meetings that we had on the 23rd of June, one at 4 o'clock and one at 6 p.m. to review the personnel bylaw rules and regulations. And I think everybody on the board, if you haven't, you should have received a copy of a memorandum from those public meetings and what was discussed, and comments that were taken those at both at 4 and 6 p.m. After we had our meeting, we did get contacted by the water commissioners, the chairman, Matt Christie, who said he couldn't attend these meetings, and he sent us a request. We have met on it, and again sent the memorandum to you about our feelings on the exemption from the revised rules and regulations. We definitely would like to see that the town council looks at this, and we really need to get this resolved. It just seems to come up every couple of months, and I think it can be resolved by town council. I mean, one way or the other. And we're also asking the select board for a joint meeting so we can hopefully get the comments and all reviewed with you, make any final changes, additions, subtractions, and get this thing signed off and get it into play.
Yeah,
As you know, we've got about 5 different rules and regulations floating around town, and it's very confusing.
Yeah, and the meeting, Charlie's off for the next 2 weeks, so we're waiting for him to come back so we'd have a full
I
board.
heard, Charlie did mention that,
Yeah.
but this, like I say, the sooner the better we can
Yeah,
have that.
absolutely.
And then finally, we'd like to let the select board know that we're available for any consultations that might come up that have to do with personnel issues. We have a very experienced group. I've got a senior director of an HR director. We also have a person who used to assist the National Labor Board. We also have corporate experts, and I'm the only dumb engineer that happens to be on it, but we have some real good expertise, and like I say, whatever comes down, if we can be of assistance, we would certainly like to help. And I think that's about it. Any questions?
No, I'm going to defer till Heather comes in. We did get a reading from legal on that for the Water Commission.
Oh, we did.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it basically gives the Board of Selectmen the decision on what to do.
Okay.
So,
So that we can discuss at the joint meeting.
right, exactly.
Okay. Anything else?
I don't think so, but it sounds like the flow of paperwork is finally going in the right direction.
Yeah, I think so. We had some things today that I sent down from the chief,
Yeah,
and I hope you understood what we're trying to do there. I don't want to sign off, and I don't think you want to sign off 165 PCFs,
nope,
but,
Oh, the blanket ones that you did.
yeah, and I
That was
thought
good.
that was a sort of a compromise. He came by and we worked on that today, so I think that would help.
yeah, and I think he was under the impression he needed to do a PCF for that 2% COLA increase, which he doesn't have to do.
Yeah, and so I wasn't aware of that either,
Yeah.
and the thing that I wanted to do is make sure it was in each person's record, so that we
Yeah.
have a record for, and I was just going to make copies of it and just stick. And I think I might do that once we meet and approve that everybody sort of gets at this time, everybody got a 2%.
Yeah.
This way it keeps our records.
So just a memo that you're
Yeah.
going to copy and put
That-
everywhere.
Yes, one memo just covers everybody, and this way, who knows, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, who knows?
And we're going to talk to him, just came up before the meeting, but we're going to talk to him on not having to do emergency PCFs for people who aren't really emergencies, probationary and all that. So slow down some of the paperwork.
Yeah, and he's trying to cover, of course, the emergencies are trying to cover, so he,
Right,
you get a paramedic, you just want to, I guess, grab him
Right.
and hold on to him, and you want to start paying him right away, and that's why he was using that. And, a little extra paperwork, but we were certainly willing to help him.
okay, so
there.
it's not an issue then?
No.
Okay. I was trying to save both of you some paperwork.
Yeah.
Okay,
you.
thanks.
sir.
Okay, I'm going to go back to Council on Aging. They weren't able to be here, and they sent a report to be read into the record. So luckily, it's only one page, so I'm going to read it. It says, "Meeting with Select Board, July 12, 2016. Our van service continues to be well utilized. In fiscal 2016, we provided an average of 193 one-way trips per month and transported 90 unduplicated seniors. FRTA has increased our budget for fiscal 17 to $31,000 from $25,500 in fiscal 16. We're very satisfied working with FRTA and are grateful for their continued increase in funding for this essential program. Our activities have been well attended, and we're currently planning events for the fall. Through a grant from Highland Valley Elder Services, we have been offering an educational series on dementia. Our May program was the basics, memory loss, dementia, and Alzheimer's disease. In June was legal and financial, issues and answers with attorney Todd Ratner. Both were well attended. We are having the dementia experience on July 14th, which is a simulation of what it's like to perform tasks with dementia. We'll also be holding 3 caregiver sessions at the Easthampton Senior Center, which is our grant partner, in September. Members of the COA Board have been working on revising our bylaws and hope to have a complete set for approval ready soon. After many years of being on the COA Board, Gladys Phillips has retired. We thank her very much for everything that she has done for us over the years. We are hoping to fill the vacant position soon. And the last is, we have still been receiving complaints about the upper parking lot being full, especially on Thursday mornings. We understand that this lot is for all to use, but it's difficult for some of our seniors, excuse me, that have to park in the lower lot or in the field behind the fire station to walk up the stairs in the longer distance. So my assumption is they're asking for people to leave space closest to the building for the seniors. Any questions on that? Okay. Okay, Chief Workman isn't here, so,
Does he know he's supposed to be here?
He didn't feel he needed to be here for the intermunicipal. Him and I talked about in the hall. Unless you guys have additional questions for him, because you guys were corresponding, or he sent correspondence via email.
well, this was on the paramedic intercept services agreement.
With Northampton,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. He felt he didn't need to be here?
Well, him and I discussed in the hall briefly. He was here a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
And he asked if he needed to be here for that piece, and we talked about that he had already corresponded with the board. You guys already have the responses to his questions, so unless there were additional questions that you felt we needed to ask him, I wasn't aware of any.
Yeah, well, he's not here, so we can't ask him, though.
Do you have additional questions beyond what he answered?
I think he just should have been here.
No, it's just would have been nice, though.
Okay, well, he'll be here in a few minutes.
Okay,
So-
so if he's going to be in a few minutes, in case he has any questions, let's move over that, if everybody's okay with that. Go on to, it's misnumbered again, but page 3, 2A, new business, our final year-end budget line transfers, Vicki Morrow, Town Accountant. Vicki?
Hi.
Hi.
Everybody should have it in their, yeah.
So these are the last line item transfers for year end, based on the warrants and the payroll that you have in front of you. Joyce had done 2 final warrants to the end of the year for 6/30, and we did a single payroll for the last 4 days of June for those hourly employees that worked those last 4 days. So the first piece that's on here is tree warden expenses. In the previous budget transfer, we had a bill from K&J to take down the trees per the tree warden, because there was liability to the town. It didn't include the amount for the police detail. So this is the amount for the police detail, so we needed extra funding for that police detail. The health agent salary is over due to the over hours of the health agent having to do many septic inspections towards the end of the year. He had increased his hours for that. Along with that was the health director with all the paperwork attached to all those, all that work that they had to do that last 2 weeks. Medicare is off approximately $3,000. It's $2,119 currently, but with those 2 payrolls, it should go up a little. It's hard to gauge what your insurances will be at the beginning of the year. Donna does a good job of taking her best guess, plus a few people here and there, but this particular year it was over a little bit. And so I put a little bit of extra money in there to compensate for the payroll deductions for the 2 payrolls that you have, but she's in the process of working on putting those together. Road machinery and maintenance is, most of that is for truck repair. The highway superintendent needed a clutch in one of his trucks, which was approximately $5,000 was the original quote, but he wasn't sure once they got in what they would actually, if they would find anything else that needed to be repaired. And then the $3,000 is for some of his year-end bills. He had quite a bit of money left in his general expenses, so for him it's hard to gauge which account is going to best serve his department needs, and so he's just transferring it from his general highway expenses to this one. So I guess we're skipping over the police chief's salary, 2 line items, and going straight to police wages. So I think you remember Michael Yett and I speaking a few times during the year about his police wages being over. partly because when we did the budget for 16, we didn't include the $33,000 that we allocated separately from the budget in 16 from the police cruiser that David Silvernail decided to forego in order to get these wages, so we had to make that up somehow. And so this is the balance based on those last 4 days and any payouts per their contract, what they needed.
So basically, I mean, if I'm reading this right, Vicki, is they actually did better than expected because they were 33 off, but now we only have to transfer 10?
And we did transfer 10 at a town meeting in January, so it's 20.
So still better than 33?
Correct.
Okay.
Ambulance expenses is to cover year-end bills. Oh, no, where am I here? I'm losing track of my HI. Yeah, year-end bills that the fire department had. There was some equipment in there. There was Boundtree Medical, which is all the medicines and supplies that they have to keep on those ambulances, that type of thing. Some communication information. The police department and the ambulance and the fire department uses what they call PowerPhone Incorporated that do maintenance and upgrades on their software and their communications that they use to do EMS work. So that's in there. And then fire department expenses, again, is end-of-year bills. Some of it was, where am I here? There's some equipment in there. There's bills for electricity and for gas to heat the building. Air tanks, there were some air tanks that he had purchased, and also some new, they needed 2 specific fire extinguishers that are quite a bit of money, a couple $100 a piece, plus all the necessities for all those. Standby pay was $397.88 for those last, actually would be 5 days because you would include Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of standby pay for anyone that was standing by on the ambulance. The park commission wages are $3,269.35, which was the highway department mowing the park departments. Conant Park, Labrie Field, all those items. And as we remembered in the budget this year, now that Randall is going to be fully funded, he should be able to cover that. Where these other items were never fully funded in those accounts anyway, so they were kind of always short.
I was going to say, going forward, though, we're not going to have that issue because we funded highway.
Well, because we fully funded highway.
52
You could have
weeks.
fully funded highway, or you could have fully funded park, but we've never
Right.
fully funded park, nor did we fully fund highway,
So it's all under highway.
it's all under highway now. Assistant accountant wages are $58.48. Because of the split at the beginning of the fiscal year, there was an extra few hours that got the retro pay, and that makes up that $58. Library wages is for those, again, any wages that are on here is for those last 4 or 5 days of June. So that would be what Barbara needed to run the library for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Library maintenance, it's kind of an odd amount, $15.09, but she has one last bill for her HVAC, and she approximated what it might be, so I put in what I thought the approximate would be, just in case it was a little bit more than what she anticipated. Police expenses, $6,173, which are some end-of-year bills. There's some Staples items in there. There's PowerPhone, which again is the software pieces that need to, they need to run their EMS equipment. What's in this one here? There's uniforms for some police officers. There's some reimbursements for uniforms for the police officers. Those types of things, they wait till year end to be sure there's going to be enough money for those types of items in there. And then general highway wages is, again, whatever Randall needed to run those last 4 days in.
So why weren't the payroll, excuse me, why wasn't the payroll last 4 days included in last year's budget?
It was, but because of overtime for the police department or the highway, it just
So it wasn't for the last 4 days, it was
Well,
overage.
it could, yeah, I mean, this is the amount of the last 4 days, whatever's over,
Yeah.
but if there's overtime in there.
Right.
If you had, the police department had a few people that were out of medical, so we were paying medical, plus we were paying, people overtime to, take those shifts, that type of thing.
We had 1,200 in the library. Do they do overtime too?
What they used to do was they would use substitutes at like $8 an hour, and so if those substitutes aren't available, they have to have their regular employees
Okay.
cover those shifts.
So it's really not for the last 4 days, it's just they've gone over their wage budget.
But if they hadn't done those last 4 days, then these wouldn't be over. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so there's other circumstances
Right.
that culminated, in,
Excuse me.
for the whole year, so.
Okay.
And as always, I try to take the accounts that are related to the same group of accounts, if they're, if they have money left in them, in order to cover these particular shortages.
Okay, so you're going to adjust it with the 2 items for the
Yep.
chief salary out?
Yep.
I guess we talked last night, but just for the sake of it, hopefully in a month or so, we'll have an actual revenue picture of what we got left over from fiscal 16, once it's all settled.
Correct.
Yeah, so we don't know quite yet, but we should in a month or so
For what?
know what the excess revenue is over expenses. We don't have
Right.
an exact number on that yet.
And I will still get encumbrances from the school. They're working on their books right as we stand now.
Yeah.
And they'll give me whatever purchase orders they have open, encumbrances. I don't think that there'll be too many invoices left that people hadn't given us, because those piles were a lot bigger than we anticipated. And so just adjustments here and there that I may have that, like Randall will give me trash for the last quarter, or, gasoline, the diesel gasoline for the, some of the trucks and whatnot, so we should be all set. So this new total is gonna be $43,404.16.
So why did we skip over police chief salary line items?
It's not gonna happen.
You can't take
Okay.
the money out from last year.
So there's other items that never mind, anyway.
Yeah.
So, so it's just,
So we're just minusing that from this total, is what you're saying?
correct.
Okay.
You can't pay retro.
Okay.
Any questions for Vicky?
No,
Thank you very much, appreciate
it's
it.
good.
No,
Just double-
thank you, Vicki.
No, I'm going to go home. Actually, I'm going to a baseball game.
Have fun.
Okay. Okay, Chief, I think we have you here for 2 items.
Yep, sure.
One's the paramedic and intercept services agreement with Northampton.
Yep.
We've talked about it, but status is just an update, ready to be
I-
signed, right?
Yeah, there's an updated agreement with the name change corrected.
So all we need is a motion to sign it.
Correct.
Here. So anybody have any questions on this before I ask for a motion?
No, I took a look at it, I have no problems with it.
Okay.
Nope, we're
So
good.
could I have a motion to sign the new agreement with
So moved.
Northampton? Okay, a second?
Second.
Okay, so no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, so passes 3-0, so we'll sign it for you.
Sure, thank you.
Easy one. Now, next, on 2B, again on page 3, it's the fire department paramedic EMT pay rates. Did you want to discuss that?
Yep, well, I was at finance meeting
Right.
yesterday. It's been ongoing back when I was first in discussion with finance in doing the new budget. I did express concern only because there was no provision made if we didn't get the second shift. And of course, we didn't get the second shift. We had been cited by the state for not having coverage, and I'd used money that I'd had within my budget to cover those shortfalls in staffing. But they were only until the end of last fiscal year. So we need to cover up to $100 for 15 hours of coverage into the new fiscal year. I'd had some discussion, Jim and I have been talking just in regards to some alternatives. How can we potentially do that? We need to do it, or it's a risk of losing the license. And so the thought being, with discussion with finance yesterday, was that we would take it from line items that we currently have, and then put something forward at the fall town meeting to take from ambulance receipts. So money that we collect from the ambulance, use some of that money to come up with the extra $37,900 it would take to keep that 15-hour, $100 stipend.
And just for the public and for Shannon, Jim and I were at the finance committee meeting last night, but tell me if I get the numbers right, to have that second, or two people on call for the 15-hour shifts, about $75,000 a year.
That's
And we
correct.
have about $35,000 of that already built into our fiscal 17 budget, so we're looking for the balance, $35,000, $40,000, whatever that balance is,
That's
correct?
correct.
So
Yeah.
that's what we'll be looking for to take from the ambulance fund.
Yeah.
So right now, you can keep the two people on call, because you're spending some of your money that would go from January on.
Correct.
In anticipation of taking the money from the ambulance fund,
That's correct.
which has 100 and,
Anywhere from 110 to 150. My guess is we'll have a good year because we're covering all of our calls. And we also went up on our ambulance rates
Yeah.
to be competitive with towns in the area.
and
So I expect that'll be good numbers.
again, make sure my memory's right, so people know, if we let another town take the ambulance runs and we didn't cover it, we would lose that revenue
We lose
also.
100% of that revenue.
Right, so we're getting more revenue than we're spending for the service.
That's correct.
Accurate?
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's
accurate.
important to know, yeah.
That is important, yeah, because if we cover calls, we make money.
Yeah.
So it certainly economically makes good economic sense to fund for the additional
Right,
monies for
okay.
nighttime shifts.
So the plan is, go to town meeting and ask for the money to be taken from the ambulance fund
Yeah,
in the
that's
fall.
correct.
Okay,
Yeah. And I did stop by at Personnel Board today also, and I'm going to do a blanket PCF, because in the past I'd done them for each individual, and
right,
between that and the other 2% issue that measure we'll discuss tonight, it would have been 156 PCFs.
right. But that 2%, you don't have to do PCFs on.
Okay, and are you
Art
certain?
was here earlier, and he didn't realize that at the time, so we confirmed that.
Okay.
What you need to,
Just to be clear, because my guys did not get a 2% for last fiscal year.
well, last fiscal year, we can't touch.
No, and that's okay. I mean, I think my guys kind of understood that.
Yeah,
But I'm just surprised. I thought I would have to do.
No, I talked to Vicky Morrow, and what you got to do is, for the next payroll, is you got to increase the rates that you submit to the treasurer
Yep.
with the new rates, and that'll be put on the list to be paid from July 1 going forward.
Okay.
So you just got to,
I can certainly make those adjustments to payroll. That's not a problem
and
at
get
all.
them to Donna Whiteley?
I
Okay.
can do that.
Yeah, so that'll save you some paperwork,
That sounds great. And so I don't have to submit any of that PCF for that?
not for the 2%.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
so
easy.
I'll take care of it. I know Art said he wanted to put kind of a blanket note in everybody's file in the whole town saying everybody got 2%, but you don't have to do it. He'll make out a general one.
Yeah, he did, actually, and I stopped by and I signed them and gave them back
Okay.
to him. I just wanted to make sure that everything was done and
Okay.
transparent and
Yep.
those kind of things.
Yeah, and we talked about the not having to do the emergency PCFs every time you do a regular PCF if the people aren't going to work right away. So it's up to
Yeah.
you if you want to do it, but you don't
Well, I
have
was doing the
to.
emergency only because on some of them where I needed them to start right away.
Yeah.
And I had like the academy
Yeah,
stuff.
those you need. But the other ones, you don't have to bother if they're not going to start right away.
That sounds easier,
Yeah, save you some paperwork.
sure.
Okay. So, any questions?
I just want to throw one thing out there. I just want to make sure it's clear that this additional money that we're coming up with is for basic service during the evening hours. It's not the paramedic that we were trying to go for at the special town meeting.
Yeah, that's a very good point, yeah.
So I
this
just
is-
want to make sure this is a basic service that will go from, I believe,
The end of the
But-
day shift from 5 PM
5 p.m.
until 8 AM.
till 8 in the morning. In some cases, we may end up with a paramedic watching
Right.
or being on standby, but in some cases, it may be just a basic service. So I just
Right.
want to make that
Yeah.
clear.
And
And
it's all, it still has the, 7 to 8 minute delay because they're responding from home, not from the station.
Right, it is a standby rather than at the station. So it's the temporary fix that you had to get us through June 30th, and because it
Yep.
didn't pass, we're doing it again to provide the service, like you
That's
said.
correct.
If
Yep.
we didn't have it,
Yeah, and the way I wrote it this time in the PCF was with no end date, and then hopefully, if we don't get a second shift next year, then we would continue this, and it ideally would be part of what they put in for the fire department budget.
And I think we, as the board and yourself, have to go out there and
Advocate.
advocate and educate the public, because it was only short, we said by what, 80 votes difference?
80 votes, so if 41 of them had changed their mind, it would have passed. So
Yeah.
if 41 people had voted for the second shift, we would have had a second shift.
I'm afraid a tragedy is going to change people's mind, and we don't want to do that, you know, it's,
Yeah, unfortunately, that is often what motivates.
yeah.
But hopefully, we
So
don't have the
it's
tragedy.
up to us to figure out a way
For the
to,
education, and
educate.
people will agree that it's of value.
yeah, so, okay. Anything else for the chief?
I'm good.
Good. Thanks, appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Okay. Now, again, these are out of order, so I'm going over to 3A on page 4. Okay, for appointments.
3A starts on page 3. This one, right?
3A here, so,
Oh, okay.
3A, appointments under signature?
yeah. Looks like we have some PCFs.
Okay.
First one is, let me just see here, looks like they're all for the fire department. So we have Zachary Coretta, probationary paramedic, he has a new pay rate. These, although they don't have the signature, I know at the finance committee last night, they signed off on these. Okay, it looks, so we got to make sure we get the ones with the finance committee's signature. Heather, I'm sure, has them, but let's take a look at these. Zachary Coretta, new pay rate. Looks like he goes from 1766 to 1916. He just graduated from a 2-year paramedic program. So he works as a probationary medic. A question for you, these aren't the ones with signatures from... Oh.
Question,
Yeah, the PCFs aren't the ones with the finance committee signatures that I can see.
They are, I have them all over here, John.
Well, I know-
I just gave you copies, so you had them.
Okay.
I just wanted to read them out loud.
I know they signed them last
Your
night. so-
signatures and all these documents in front of me.
So that's Zachary Coretta. Then we have Dean Reel. He's going from 1616 to 1766. Just graduated 2-year paramedic program. Dan Hurley is going on leave. He is going back into the service on another tour, I believe. So he is taking a leave here, leave of absence starting 5/13. He's already gone. So we wish him success and hope he comes back soon. So let me just do the fire department. I'm missing one, I think, here.
Which one is it?
Megan Pike.
I didn't make you a copy.
I'm not seeing it. So let's break it down. Zach Coretta and Dean Reel are getting promotions. It's, I believe, $1.50 because they just graduated from the 2-year paramedic program. And I wish the chief was still here, but these are the folks that the chief said that they went back to school and made a 2-year commitment to become paramedics, and once they started graduating, they'll start coming back to the fire station. So these are the ones that are starting to come back, which is nice to see because they're all local guys. So on Dean and Zach, can I have a motion to accept these new rates?
So moved.
Second?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
These are the 2 paramedics in the fire department that got a promotion because we just graduated from the 2-year paramedic
Yes.
program. Okay.
I'll second that.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. We have Dan Hurley, leave of absence. Make a motion, we accept his leave.
So moved.
Second.
Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Do we have Megan there, Heather? Megan Pike, she's a probationary paramedic, and she has a resignation. She got a full-time opportunity, so we can have a motion to accept her resignation.
Who is it? What's her name? I don't have it on here.
Megan Pike.
Okay. So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And then we have, oops. We have Board of Assessors, Board of Assessors Clerk, PRF, a replacement for Shannon Cutler. So this is for a posting, or?
Yes.
Okay, so it's, yeah, it's signed by the Board of Assessors, Principal Assessor, PQB, and Finance Committee, so it has all the signatures, so have a motion to accept this?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So we have licenses, permits. One-day wine malt alcohol license from Emily Powers at 158 Glendale Road for July 16th from 1 p.m. to 10 p.m. for a picnic. Applications for a picnic on private property, but is associated with a paid event. Per advice of counsel, a license is recommended. All paperwork's filed. Check will be exchanged for license if we approve it. So have a motion to approve the one-day license?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Another one-day wine malt alcohol license from Mark Vaklavicsik. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong, for Conant Park Pavilion on July 31st, 2 to 7 for a graduation party. It's a change of date, previously approved for June 25th. License previously issued, change of date, confirmation letter received from Park Commission. A change of date is fine. New license needs to be issued. So I need a motion to reissue the new license.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Another one-day all-alcohol license from Elegant Affairs for 17 College Highway, which is Harley-Davidson of Southampton, on August 11th for Throttle Rockers Magazine Destination. This says Mike Night. I don't know if it means Mike or Bike Night, but yeah.
Bike night, yeah.
I don't know if there'd be a lot of singing going
I
on
was
there.
gonna say open mic.
Mike.
Bike night.
Our last Harley event was 2014. All paperwork is filed. Check will be exchanged for license. I need a motion to approve the license.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Okay, other documents requiring signature. I have a bond note in the amount of $65,600 for the Halloween storm debt, which goes back to October 30th, 31st of 2013, I believe.
Still doing that?
Yep, Donna Whiteley will be here for that. In the meantime. Anybody need a 5-minute break, or are we all set?
I'm good.
I'm good.
She's on her way.
Okay. Do you have the other PCFs with signatures?
Took all my stuff back.
No, that's one you did. That one I
That's
had.
because you're signing copies, John.
These are signatures or copies?
Yeah, I have all the originals.
Son of a gun. Hi, we brought up the bond note for the Halloween storm back in 13, was it? Something like that? Do you just want to give us a quick run-through of what it
It's
is?
just a renewal of, we pay down $15,000 a year, so we're paying it down to 15, and we're borrowing $65,600
Right.
for
Good.
1 year at 0.85% interest.
And this is just rolling it over from before, it's not a new debt, right?
Correct.
Well, it's 15,000 less than the previous?
Correct.
Yeah.
Because that's how much we've been budgeting to pay down. I mean,
So you got 4-point-something years left on this at that rate. Is there any questions on this, for Donna? Okay. Do we need a motion to pass this? Okay, so can I have a motion that we sign the bond note in the amount of $65,600?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All set? Thank you.
Thanks, Donna.
We have to,
This one too, right?
Yes,
Okay.
you going to sign this as well?
yes, yeah, I agree.
You want to start with this one? Down there. I signed it, yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, next item is UST identification form. Forms required for the state of Massachusetts for underground storage tanks to identify the town as the owner so inspections can be done. These are at the town yard, these tanks?
Highway Department.
Highway Department, right. Okay. So we need a motion to sign the form and have, who can be signatory for this?
So here's the only note to read here. So there's an asterisk on this that when you're signing, you're saying this. I certify under penalty of law that I have personally examined and am familiar with the information submitted in this document and all attachments, and that based on my inquiry of those individuals immediately responsible for obtaining the information, I believe the information is true, accurate, and complete. I'm aware that there are significant penalties for submitting false information, including possible fines and imprisonment.
So, we all want to sign that, right? I have no problem signing it as long as I'll read it beforehand, so. So you need a motion for me to sign the form and be signatory for the town, if that's acceptable, unless somebody else wants to sign it.
Oh, you can sign it, I'm not signing this.
So you want to make that motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Doesn't matter if you, there's 2 to 1. if you-
I know, yeah, I had to do it anyways, right? Okay, payroll bill warrants. Following have already been signed but require a vote. So PD 1651 for $46,607.20. P16-53 for $200,332.83. P16-53LS, $194,453.16. And PD 16-53A for $164,120.64. And PD 16-53 for $69,755.11. So we've already signed it, but we just need a vote to approve the signatures. So you have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
And I will second that.
Do we have any questions on that?
The ones that we
I
signed already.
just want to, I'm going to have to vote on this out of necessity, because there's only 3 of us here, and being related to the town clerk. I
Okay,
just want that, I will vote for that, but I will not sign for her. I just want to make that clear.
so we'll put that
And
on the
also,
record.
is K&J into the top part or the second part? Okay, so we'll just deal with that one for now.
Okay, so all set there. We'll make a note of that in a minute. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Signature and votes needed. Bills W54.
Jim has a list of
Right
all
here.
the numbers.
Okay, go.
Okay, bills. W55 for $184,388.05. W54 for $187,530.34. W17-01 for 6,
P.
I believe it says W
I
here.
have P on here. Is it a P or a W?
James is right.
Jim's is right, okay.
Again, W17-01, $650,513.26. Payroll, 1655 for $33,785.34. And P17-02 for $168,593.88.
It's P1712, you said?
P1702.
Or 02?
Are you making a motion?
I'll make a motion. We approve as read.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Any questions?
And I just want to make the same disclaimer. K&J is related to me, nephews, so I will vote in necessity, and I guess I will sign it, everything except that.
Okay. So, all in favor?
Aye.
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 And do you want that copy? That's-
Okay. So we're back to number 2, Heather, on this numbering, but
I just really like number 2 this week, John.
we got open time for the public. There's nobody here, so. Approval of minutes. Do we have any minutes ready for approval?
Yes. We have all minutes, but the only ones not approvable at this moment are April 27th, and only public ones are the ones we're going to do tonight.
Okay, so these are for public approval of minutes from May 3rd, 2016, May 17th, 2016, May 31st, 2016, June 14th, 2016, and June 30th, 2016, which is a special meeting. So everybody had time to review those?
I have not seen them.
There you
Okay.
go. I've already reviewed them and made my comments, and they were changed.
I know, I was all set. So do you want to take a couple minutes to review them, or do you want to put it somewhere?
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. So- Is there anything else, Heather, we need to sign while we're waiting?
Yeah, but we can wait until we close the meeting.
Okay.
I'm sure public really enjoys watching you guys at home just doing signatures. If they would like it and they want to write in, we can totally add a line at the bottom, and now the board does signatures.
Our phones are going to light up with texts.
Right.
Okay, why Shannon is reading that, we need to schedule our next meetings.
Okay, so we just...
Charlie is gone the next 2 Tuesdays, but we do have some executive meeting information that we need to discuss. So the question is, do we want to do it next week or the week after, or do we want to wait 3 weeks till Charlie comes back?
I am available next week, but not the week after.
Let me back up. Somebody said, yeah, Monday, right? That was you? So Monday, the 18th, Charlie is available?
According to my schedule, it's Monday
Okay. So let's look at our calendars for the 18th. I'm available that night rather than the 19th.
So which are we
So,
scheduling for that?
talking about executive sessions that we have.
Okay.
And we'll have to open the meeting for the public, but then go in executive session. So we're talking about the 18th at 6 o'clock. Do you know what your calendar is, Shannon?
The 18th, you said?
Yes.
And that's just for those executives, John?
Yeah.
Right,
All right, 6 o'clock?
yes.
Yeah, I'm in.
Unless there's something critical that we need to put on before, but if not, then executive sessions? Okay. So that's our next meeting, and then,
And then we need a meeting for August.
We have one for August.
What was the date?
16th, 12th. 16th.
well, yeah, we don't want to go that long. We should
There's
Should
not
have one
much- There's not much going on during the summer.
no,
As you can tell, it's an hour and 30 minutes in, and,
And we're done.
that's because I just push it along, you know?
okay.
So why don't we talk at next week's meeting
Right.
and go from there, if we need another one
And we'll
in
have a full
between.
board, and so we get
The,
more...
the only reason I kind of need a meeting, if possible, is we have a dog hearing to do, and I have to give them notice by about 2 weeks at least, so.
Well, we
in
do
order
have
to
the
send them-
16th already.
Okay, so I can
Definitely
do
the
it, I
16th.
can do it for August 16th.
Yeah.
Okay,
The
thank
que-
you.
The question is whether we do it on August 2nd also, and we can decide that next week. So, and we've got to put together the joint PQB and a Board of Selectmen meeting. So Charlie
I
is,
saw that the assessors had asked for a joint meeting, too. They need to be contacted.
that I believe is an
Pellegrini still
executive
wants to
session
see-
meeting, correct, with the board?
I'm sorry,
Board of Assessors want to meet with us?
I haven't heard anything renewed on that.
Okay.
I
so-
thought that was a moot point.
Okay, so if they need to meet with us, they could let us know and we can schedule something?
And Pellegrini, he was in a few weeks back. He needs to be contacted. about
Anything
when
else
he can
standing
come
with Mr. Pellegrini? I don't,
Not to my knowledge.
no, I didn't think so. Was there something special you remember?
in. I remember him asking when he could be heard, because he came in and we said we weren't going to hear anybody on their first time in, and Heather said she was going to contact him on when he could come in to speak to the board.
Okay, so.
So he's waiting to be
Could you check the
contacted.
minutes and see on that one, please?
So 16th, yeah.
Yeah, 16. In next week, we can,
No, 18th is our next meeting, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
18th. Monday.
Monday, yep.
Monday,
we can check
got
with
it.
Charlie on his schedule so we can meet with the PQB, so we're all here.
Yeah,
And obviously Jackie, too.
yeah, okay.
I'd like to get that off the books in August if we can. Yeah, got it. Just, no matter where Charlie is, he's always listening. Okay. Charlie is around after July 28th, with nothing scheduled for August.
So he's not around on the 18th, you're saying?
No, the 18th is okay, I believe.
But we can talk, if he's there on the 18th, we can talk. It might be best.
Yeah.
with,
Okay. So if he verifies he's here for the 18th, then we'll schedule it for next Monday, 6 o'clock, and we'll all get together and decide from there, rather than go back and forth. Okay, so that's it for the calendar and the announcements. Anything we're missing, Heather?
We're going to approve the minutes.
Oh, true. How are we doing down there? Almost?
Almost.
Okay.
One more minute.
Love technology, you can't get away.
Okay, I'm good.
You good?
Yep.
Okay, so we need approval of the minutes for May 3rd, 17th, 31st, June 14th, and June 30th, all of this year.
So moved.
And second.
Any questions?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so we got that off there. Anything else, Heather?
Not that I am aware of, or it'd probably be on the agenda.
Yeah, no. I think we covered everything.
I think the only thing is, thinking about joint meetings, it might be wise to just find some time in between that you can meet with the different groups that want to meet with you.
Yep.
So we have an executive session next Monday, and if the next meeting's not until August 12th, perhaps either before that time or after that time, the end of August, just pick a day that's random, maybe start the meeting earlier and do a couple
Yep.
joint meetings, because I think the water commissioners as well.
Yep.
And that way you can get everyone done at one day.
Yeah, I'm anticipating that at the meeting next week, by the way, Charlie's in for the 18th. So at our meeting next week, we'll pick a date, probably, I'm going to guess, maybe August 2nd, which is 2 weeks away from the 18th. And we have nothing scheduled, so if we're all in agreement at that point, we can just schedule those folks in.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah. So maybe all of us can just hold on to August 2nd, and we can discuss it,
On the 18th.
yeah, on the 18th.
Perfect.
So I'm just going to put a hold on that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if there's nothing else, I'm just looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions on that?
No.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
Good night.